account. The group chart of account is contained the list of GL account used for consolidation. In this case, we have only one that is called the HFM chart of account applied to all company codes. For Spain, Mexico, UK, and other countries. In this case, the GRSA should be the code, and this maintaining this that have in place in SAP ACC for Italy, and it because include the consolidation account with HFM coding block. Below the group chart account is a company. Company is a meaning the group company, in this case the holding, and is basis the consolidation function for financial accounting, and internally have the single legal entity. For example, for Italy, we have 3 legal entities, while a closure for Magenta and Spinetta. So, Carla can go in the next slide, please. Thanks. And below the company, we have the chart of account. This is the structure that contains the GL account that is assigned to client level. It's quite important, the chart of account, because it's used for financial statement version and can be applied or created in SAP instance for the relationship between one-to-one. So we can create one chart of account for each company code, as shown in the table below. Or maybe usually for group model, it's possible to define one chart of account for all company codes that can have some feature because have the same account code, the same list description, and based to manage, for example, statutory or legal requirement can be used the country chart of account. And then we have the company code. Please, Carla, come back in the previous. Thanks. And below, for each chart of account is assigned to one or more company code, where the company core is the core of SAP because it's linked between the finance and the other function essential, for example, the sales and the logistic part. That include the set of, for specific in finance, include GL account with specific fiscal and statutory reporting obligation. That is a single legal entity. And then below the company code, we have the ledger. The ledger is used for produce financial statement according to accounting principle. The accounting principle is the accounting standard, for example, the International Financial Reporting Structure or generally accepted accounting principle. For this reason, we propose to use the ledger approach that it's composed for 2 ledgers. We have the leading ledger that is contain the information of group company to contain, for example, the currency year, the holding, the fiscal year variant, and other posting period information that are including in the next in the other session. And then in parallel of leading ledger that apply to all company, in order to satisfy, for example, specific requirement per countries, can be create the non-leading ledger. The non-leading ledger is used to manage the local accounting principle, in addition to group accounting principle, but is analyzed in another time. And then in this case, the advantage that when, for example, we post the financial entries in SAP, we have the same information in the leading and the non-leading ledger in the company. While in case the financial entry is posted only in non-leading ledger, is available only for local principle. This is the main difference between leading and non-leading ledger. And then, in addition, we have another point in the structure. We have the part, the finance, another part is the asset. Carla can go in the next. The asset accounting is used for managing and supervising the fixed asset for Guala closures. The main purpose of accounting is to extract the value of the fixed asset and manage for particular calculation meeting during the useful life. In order to satisfy the creation of asset, need require the following organizational unit. We have below the company the asset class, that is the most important criteria for structuring fixed assets. That this is the first point account view and is the highest level that is common for all company. Below the asset class, we have so the company, and then we have the chart of depreciation. The chart of depreciation is similar to the concept of chart of account, but contain internally the legal requirement for depreciation and valuation of assets. And then after definite the chart of account, we have the depreciation area, represent the method of evaluation required to evaluate specific assets. So based the organizational requirement, for example, cost accounting, tax requirement, and the legal requirement. Now I finished the finance part. I share the floor to Sales Angelo.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Marta, sorry to interrupt you. If you have any questions, exactly, please raise your hand, ask, okay? Do not remain with the doubt, please, because these concepts are really the basics and it's really important for you to understand them. Francesco, do you have a question?
Yes. Hi all. I am Francesco Michelini. To my colleague, Guala colleague. I'm your colleague on IT department for finance and controlling area. I have some questions about the naming that I see on this PowerPoint in this presentation to our Deloitte friends. The naming of a company for Mexico, I have 5,000, or only for UK, the name UK, is the real naming of the company that will be in SAP?
If you want, Marta, I can reply to this question. Okay. No, this is not the defined coding for for all the object of the enterprise structure.
Okay.
This is an example for sure. We only want to show you the previous situation, for example, taking the actual configuration that Italy and Spain are using on the actual ERP that is an old version of SAP. And for example, Mexico, it was an old decision. We will discuss about this point in the last part of the meeting, but I can anticipate the answer. No, this is not the definitive coding.
Okay, really thank you. And another question from our knowledge. When will be the switch from the old SAP to the new version HANA for Italy and for Spain? It will be possible to change, to switch the naming, the code of the company?
One of the scope of this project is to define a new model For sure, we don't have to replicate the old model of Italy and Spain. We just provide you some example, probably because if you can see a picture of the actual configuration, could be easier to understand what is a company code, what is an asset class, and depreciation, chart of depreciation. But nothing is defined, and we will discuss in the next meeting everything.
Yes, but only for sorry. So it will possible after other meetings that company 1000 Italy could change in, let me say, IT 01 when it will be in S4HANA?
Yes, absolutely. We will show you, especially when we will be in presence in UK and in Mexico. We will show you also the criteria. For example, the maximum charts that we can use. For example, for company codes, as you told, we have 4 digits, so we can write 1000. We can write ET00 or what you prefer, because it's something that we are tailoring on your needs.
Okay, really, thank you.
If there are any other question, especially on the finance point, otherwise I will proceed explaining you the sales organizational structure. I cannot see any hands. Okay, Carla, please go to the next slide. Okay, I'll start with showing you the meaning of the enterprise structure for the sales area. As already told by Luca, we have a general enterprise structure that we have to create on the system. So we have to copy the actual structure of Guala for each country, and we have to replicate this structure as on this new system. And for each area we have a dedicated enterprise structure, but everything is linked. As you can see, we will show you the meaning of sales organization, that is the main object of the enterprise structure for sales processes, but is linked, as you can see, to the company code. So one of the main important object of finance. So everything is connected. Starting from sales organization, the sales organization, as I told you, is the main object, and it's used to identify the responsible for sales process and distribution process, every transaction, every object. So, for example, a sales order, an invoice, a delivery is linked to the to a sales organization. We can have one or a single or multiple link to the company for the actual design of Guala. We usually have one company, one sales organization, and we will in the next session we will try to understand which is the structure that we have to implement for Mexico and UK. So the sales organization is the first object. The second object is the distribution channel, that is the channel, as Carla, please go to the next slide, is the channel used, represent the channel through which the company reach the customer. In Guala, for example, we actually use the direct sales, the bulk sales, but other example could be, I don't know, the retail, the e-commerce that we will not use, but it's just to provide you an example, an idea of what is the distribution channel. Another object under the distribution channel could be the division. The division actually for Guala it should be a unique for every sales area. But usually identify a group of material, taking consideration an example of automotive company. We could have a group division for cars, for a division for trucks, and so on. So it represents a group of material that we are selling. The group of sales organization, distribution channel, and division represent the sales area. The sales area could be additionally split in other objects for especially used for analysis and reporting that are composed by sales office. While usually the sales office reflect the sales area manager, the sales group that represent the group that is working with the sales manager or the sales agent under the sales manager, and the last object that is not a specific enterprise object for the structure, but is a specific object of the customer master data is the sales district. The sales district with all the other objects of the enterprise structure is used for analysis report, for reporting, and could represent, I don't know, a geographical zone like, for example, Asia, Europe, America, and so on, or most in detail, Italy, UK, Mexico, or a specific city, London, Manchester, and so on. So it's something that must be defined with you together in order to understand which is the best dimension for your analysis and your reporting. This is the last object for sales area, and in the next slide we will show you the purchasing and logistic object. So Michele, please.
Thank you, Angelo. Hi all, it's Michele Tito speaking. I'm a team member of the material management team with Maurizio and the others. And what we are about to see now is what are the organizational units relevant for the purchasing and logistic. The first one that we are going to see is the purchasing organization. In SAP, a purchasing organization represents a physical entity, a team of persons that is responsible for the purchase of some materials and services, and it assumes legal responsibility for all the external purchase transactions. Typically, in SAP, consider it such a suggestion for you, a purchase organization could be represented with the numeric value, such as in the example below, and each of the purchasing organization in the system will be responsible for one or more specific geographical localization. As you can see, if you please take a look on the picture below, you can see that the purchasing organization, in this case, the 1000, is the one responsible, for example, for procuring materials and services and negotiating conditions with vendors for all the Italian plants, so for the geographical localization that is the Italian, for the Italian plants. If we move to the second slide, we can see what is relevant for one of the elements relevant for the logistic, that is the plant. A plant is the second organizational unit, and it serves to divide an enterprise according to production, procurement, stock evaluation, and material planning aspects. Typically, a plant is a place where materials are produced or goods and service are provided. So what are the main features of a plant? It has a unique geographic location, can be subdivided into locations or sub-locations, and on the system is defined as an alphanumeric value of 4 digits, and as the example shown below, it could be built with a reference to a country code. Again, please consider it as a suggestion for you, an example of what could be the coding rule that we could apply to generate a plant on the system. In this case, for example, for the Italian plants, we can use the country code referred to the Italian plants and the numeric value that should serve to distinguish all the Italian plants among the other. If we move to the third slide, please, of course, if you have some question, raise your hand. Then the third organizational unit for the relevant for the logistic is the storage location. That is a physical location within the plant where all the materials are stored and managed. A storage location in SAP can be defined based, for example, on stock ownership or type of materials. That is the example that is displayed below. If you consider, for example, that you have different storage locations for example, external warehouses or raw materials, you can imagine how to build these structures starting from the definition of the type of material. For example, you can have under a specific plant, within the plant, different storage location for the spare parts. For example, PUR01, or for the finished product, for example, PF01, and so on.
Michele, I have a question.
Yes.
If we have consignment stock, okay, would that be set up there as a separate naming convention?
We can define it with the specific name for the storage location.
Okay, so you would set it up as a separate storage location is really what I'm asking.
We could.
Yes.
Yeah, but
okay.
it's not necessary, Katrina. So
Yeah.
sorry
Not
for the
necessary.
interruption. Sorry for the interruption, Michele, right?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry. My names I always forget. So in Italy right now, it's consignment stock in SAP has a particular status, so it's managed also by default with special stock type, so it's consignment, and it's different from general stock that we purchase. So it can be, and in Italy as of now, it is managed within the same storage location. It can be put into a different one if it makes sense. But generally, right now, the Italian model, as of now, it manages what is, it divides the plant into logical areas according to what is raw material, what is semi-finished, finished. And in case of external warehouses, because this would be the next question from you, Katrina, I would guess, they are created at separate storage locations, so you know which stock is within the plant ownership, but is located outside.
Yes, it was, but there is the other point to it, Sergei. So for example, at Bridge of Allen, there are 7 silos with polymer, and 4 of those are on consignment. So we have to see obviously the material usage to make sure we're getting polymer supplied into site. So how would SAP handle that? It wouldn't be as it wouldn't be as a separate location, did you say?
Generally, okay, in SAP right now, in Spinetta, we also have consignment stock in the silos, but it's not managed as a separate storage location. There are physical sensors located on the silos, and the data is checked. SAP knows how much quantity is there, but let's put this way, it's the actual count of the consignment is done monthly when they see how much is there and how much was consumed. There is a mechanism that Spinetta is using in order to keep track of the consumption, and then at the end of the month they basically make a reconciliation of the consignment stock that they used. It's not for this meeting, but probably we'll have to add the consignment stock within the logistical meetings and the procurement meetings. From a procurement standpoint of view, nothing changes really. From a logistical point of view, yes, there is the question of managing the consignment consumption and the invoicing details, but this is not the place right now.
Okay, no, that's fine. Thank you.
So let me add just two words.
Just to confirm what Sergey told, we will show you the standard behavior of SAP for the consignment in a dedicated meeting. So I can confirm that for the standard SAP, there is no need to create a specific storage location or plant.
Thank you.
If there are no other questions, we can move to the last slide. That is, okay, thank you, Carla. About the purchasing groups. The purchasing group is the key to identify a buyer or a group of buyers in the system that are responsible for certain purchasing activities. Internally, the purchasing group is responsible for the procurement of some materials or class of materials. Externally is the point of contact with the vendor. On a day-to-day activity, the purchasing group is responsible for the requirement planning and for the requirement of the ordering of the merchandise, and it can also send vendor requests for quotation or create directly on the system the purchase requisitions. To date, in Guala, purchasing groups are used to identify the kind of material that are purchased. So, as you can see from the list below, we can have different purchasing groups, for example, 100 for the plastic, 101 for the aluminium, and so on, that identify what is the kind of material purchased. With this part, we finished with the enterprise structure related to purchasing and logistics, and I can leave the stage to Angelo. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Michele. Yes, the last object of the enterprise structure that is crossed from between logistic and sales is the shipping point. Why is crossed? Because it's linked to the shipping point is a physical location that identify from the point from which the goods are shipped to the customer, or eventually where we receive the goods in case of good receiving or returns. So it's the fundamental object for the creation of delivery or inbound delivery. And but it's also linked to the logistic object because it's directly connected with the plants. So it could be, we could have only one shipping point or more than one shipping point linked to the an unique plan. With this object, we finished the list of the enterprise structure object that we want to show with you, and we just want to to discuss with you the scope, the meaning of this meeting. The goal is to give you an instrument that could be used for you to analyze the actual structure that you have in your country. We are not asking you anything for now, but we want that just to ask you to think on which are the main objects that you think we should implement in for your country. For example, how many company, how many sales organization, how many plants are present in your country, in UK, in Mexico. Because we need in the next meeting to design a structure, an organizational structure, and you can find at the end of this presentation that we will share with you another part that Carla is showing you at just now, the annex, that provide you an example of what was decided for in the past for example for Mexico, that started a process for the implementation on SAP. So you can just find some example of the old enterprise structure for the part of the sales, for the part of logistic, and you can we are not asking you to confirm or provide us any other feedback, for example, change this or change this name or something else, but we just want you to think about the object of the enterprise structure in order to understand together if the structure, for example, for Mexico is still valid or we have to change something, and for UK to have a visual guide just to image which could be the future structure for your country. So one company, more than one company, one sales organization, how many distribution channel. If you go in the next slide, Carla, we could see that there was implemented a single purchasing organization, 2 plants with different storage location and so on. For example, for this slide, you can see an attachment with the detail of the decision topic in the past. But as already told, nothing is yet defined. We have the time to change everything: the naming, the number of plants, the number of storage location. Is just a starting point for you and for us to understand which is the structure that we are going to create. Okay. Yes, I can see there is a question. Oscar?
Yeah, thanks. This is Oscar from Mexico. Yes, as you said, I think we can take as a basis all the structure that we done in the past. Obviously, we need to review it. I'm sure that we need to do some modifications, because it has been a long time since we designed this structure. But sure, we are going to take as a basis this organizational structure that we made in the past, in order to confirm you if what will be the organizational structure for the future.
Thank you, Oscar.
Thanks.
Okay, so do you have any question about previous slides? I mean, what Angelo suggested before is to start to think how many, let me say, company codes, purchasing organization, plans, and store location we should have. So based on definition we saw in the previous slides. And then when we will be in a case example, we will review all together that let me say that list of plans, list of sort of location, and we will define together if some sort of location are missing, I don't know, for some special flows or which is the reason for which we have some plans and so on. But basically what we need to have is a starting point, so a list of store location into your physically stocked your materials. And starting from that list, we will link all together that objects, and we will build up our organizational structure.
Just to conclude, in the annex you cannot see the finance enterprise structure, just only because the colleagues showed you in the first slide, but the logic is absolutely the same. We are showing you some example for sure, as probably Gianluca can confirm. There are some points that cannot be personalized, like for example the legal entity. If you have one legal entity, we cannot create 5 legal entities, but more or less the other point of the enterprise structure can be discussed and created after a discussion, an internal discussion with you all.
Agree.
Okay, please.
Angelo,
Ciao.
quick question. So for the organizational structure, you will define it on October when you will be in the plants. So just to understand the timing of the activity.
Yes. We would just want to provide you, not to you, but to the countries,
to our colleagues,
to our colleagues, an overview of the main processes, just to provide them a logic. What is a selling process, what is a purchasing process, and so on. After this, we will discuss together about, for sure, also the enterprise structure.
Okay, probably I think we can also, if you agree, because probably we also would like to put in place a naming convention. You're very familiar with the concept because me and Angelo, we have worked together in the past, and he knows my approach to naming conventions.
And I totally agree.
So probably we will define one internally in the coming days, also with our colleague Attilio, who right now is not in the call because he was busy in another one. And probably we will make a suggestion which needs to be applied. Then, of course, we will participate to the specific meetings in October for, UK, Scotland, and Mexico. For Mexico, probably we will use the organizational structure. Just one point, Angela, I think I don't know why, probably you have used an older version because we actually
Mexico?
used... Yeah, for Mexico, because that one is not the latest version that we have used. So probably if you... The content, I mean, is similar, but just for your information. And I think that's it. So then for me, no further doubts, and we will be working on this together. As for the doubts and information, basically for my Guala colleagues, basically the organizational structure, as you probably have seen, is a way to represent within the confines of SAP, because SAP unfortunately is made by Germans, so it's very strict, precise, and you need to follow their rules. But it's basically a way to represent your company within the system. So the company code generally is the legal entity, the plant is the physical location where we make the production, store the goods, etc. And where the goods are basically, which is the ownership of the goods. Storage location is a subdivision of where the stock is located, can be more or less precise. Sales organizations is who sells, purchasing, who buys, and so on. So basically, LIC will need also your support to basically copy this into the system so you can work within the same way, right?
Thank you, Sergey. I'm seeing a hand raised by Oscar Gonzalez.
Yes,
Oscar?
thank you. Again, the question is for Sergey. Hello, Sergey. If I understood well, we will define this organizational structure with your help when all the Italian team and Walla team and Deloitte team will be with us in Mexico? Or
yeah, I don't think we will not be, Oscar, we will not, me personally at Tilio, as far as I know right now, our presence in Mexico will not be coming to Mexico, as far as I know right now. But what we will do is we will create with Deloitte probably a naming convention, so how a suggestion of how to name the various points. For sure, we will use the one that we used previously for Mexico because we did the tests. So we already put it in place in the system. What was it? 1 year ago, more than that. And then we will help you define the final points.
Yes, I'm asking because we need to do some modification in the original structure we defined. Because, for example, we changed the legal entity. If you remember, we
you had two, for example, if I remember correctly.
Two legal entities. Right now, we have just one.
Okay,
so
perfect.
We need to change the structure.
Yeah. So absolutely, this is not an issue to change. But we will use the old one as a proposal, and then if changes are required, absolutely no issue.
Okay. What will be the next step? So just for understand what.
For after the organizational structure, sorry. Because the next step, okay, we have other meetings where we, for every area, we have other meetings where we describe, we should explore the other the processes, okay, for every company.
But for the definition of the organizational structure, Luca, we are going to define it together with you. So, Oscar, we are going to be in Mexico from the 17th to the 21st of October.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yes, correct.
And we are going to have specific meetings on the organizational structure together with all the team in Mexico, and we will define it together during that week.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other question for the moment? Ulises, please.
Yes. Hi, everybody. This is Ulises from Mexico. Just a couple of questions. The first one, when you talk about the sales organization, well, we are talking about the customers. There are several, or there are different subcategories that we can create in SAP in order to have probably different locations for the same customer. And well, the second question is there a platform or a place where you will upload all these presentations that we can check in any time if we need to?
Ulises, no, honestly, I didn't understand your question about the. What do you mean about the category of under the sales organization to identify the customer? Can you provide me an example? Because
yeah, for example, if we have a customer that have different locations that we need to deliver to, as per my understanding, there will be a specific number for this customer, but probably different addresses or locations that we could spread the material. So if there are these kind of subcategories that we can create on SAP for the same customer but different locations.
Okay, these are not some object related enterprise structure. If you need to identify, for example, as your example, some specific address, there are some attributes of the customer master data, business partner master data, that we will see in the next section, and I'll show you how to manage, for example, a customer with multiple addresses, but everything is related to usually to one sales organization, a unique sales organization. So we have a customer linked to this sales organization, and we can manage the differentiation between with some specific attribute of the master data. About the location of this material, Florentina, probably we will use the tools.
Exactly.
I don't want to say something wrong.
No worries. Yes, this was my last point before to end the meeting. So we're going to use specific tools in the cloud that we're going to see together next week. Next week, we are going to have 2 separate meetings with the UK team and Mexico team, considering the time zones, the 2 different time zones, during which we are going to see together Confluence and Jira. Confluence is for the project, is for the documentation management of the full project. So for example, this presentation, the recording of this meeting, the minutes are going to be uploaded in Confluence, and you're going to have access to everything. Meanwhile, Jira is for the project management, so tasks management, to who you are going to have access as well. So, but next week, we're going to see both in details. We're going to see how you can log in into this Atlassian tool and the structure that we are just defining with the Deloitte team, and where you can find all the information.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Okay. Any other questions? I know that I'm asking it many times, but I have the impression that every time that I ask it, there is someone that can raise the hand. So just to be sure that for the moment, everything it is clear, we're going to have the chance anyways during the meetings and by email to clarify everything over the next weeks. Good. Okay. Then someone was talking?
No, I'm just saying everything's clear. Thank you very much for hosting.
Great. Then thank you very much for attending. Have a really good day, afternoon, evening, and we will be in touch tomorrow.
Thank you. Ciao, ciao.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Ciao.